Honor and respects, luz y progreso. This is Sancista Brujo Luis, and I'm doing a video today on using an egg, or how Latinos or Hispanic people, how we use eggs in our limpias, in our limpiezas espirituales. Limpia means a spiritual cleansing, and how we use the egg to do limpias. And I'm not just only going to show you how we do limpias, but I'm also going to show you how we interpret el huevo, or the egg, in the Spanish traditions, whether it's Espiritismo, Brujeria, Chamanismo, or Curanderismo, how we interpret the egg. Now, the egg itself, often we use a white egg. Most of the people who do limpias espirituales, spiritual cleansings, they use a white egg, but some use brown eggs. But most of us, we tend to use a white because the white represents purity. It represents cleanliness, and it represents the ancestors. So the egg by itself, it's a sacred object in itself, and by itself, the egg can pick up negative energies. All that needs to be done for an egg to pick up negative energies is for one to charge it to do so. So often, espiritistas or brujo, we pray over the egg, and then we bless the client that we're going to read the egg for. So I'm going to pretend that I'm the client that I'm going to read the egg for, and I like to bless the egg over the person. So usually I would go por la señal de la Santa Cruz de nuestros enemigos, libéranos Señor Dios nuestro, en el nombre del Padre, el Hijo y el Espíritu Santo. So what I do is right there is that I'm cleansing, I'm charging the egg on front of the person, and I'm blessing the egg, over the person's head, por la señal de la Santa Cruz de nuestros enemigos, libéranos, Señor Dios nuestro, en el nombre del Padre, el Hijo y el Espíritu Santo. So what I do is I do that over the client before I start doing the pases, or passing the egg over the client's body and auric layer. And yes, this is done in many traditions of Hispanic cultures, whether it's from Mexico, Puerto Rico, Venezuela. You will find this done in not just in Latin America, but in many parts of the world, where they use an egg to cleanse a person. And also how, at least in the Hispanic culture, how we use it to interpret. So I'm also going to show you how we use, after we cleanse the person, with the egg, how we interpret el huevo. Okay? So when doing a limpia with an egg, and before we read the egg, we ask the person to sit down on a chair with their palms down, and we always, bless it around the person. We make sure that we consecrate it in the name of the person who we're going to read for. And that's what you're going to use. And to divine, you're going to use your egg and a glass of water. And you're going to crack the egg in front of the person. And then you're going to interpret. Well, the espiritista, or the brujo, or el chamán, or el santiguador, they're going to interpret la llama, the egg white, or the egg. We use the whole egg. I've seen people, some traditions, they just use the egg whites. We use in the one in Puerto Rico, we use the whole the egg white and the egg yellow. Now, I just want to explain that I'm just going to show you some basic interpretations of how I interpret the egg. And I'm really not going to, this is not, I just don't want to, not to be rude, I don't want to get boggled down with, well, my egg showed this, my egg showed that. No one should be cleansing for themselves. This should be done by an espiritista or a brujo who is well versed in the knowledge of divining and reading the egg. So, and for our cultures, for the Latino cultures, it is rude that if you cleanse yourself with an egg and then you crack it for yourself and you can't interpret it, that you're going to go ask a brujo. No, a brujo or an espiritista, they should do it for you. So in keeping with that tradition, this is just how I do it, and this is not really so much as a course. So I will not be answering messages that, oh, well, my egg came out like that. I don't answer, for us it's very rude. We don't answer those questions because we need to cleanse it for you. It has to be us that's cleansing that for yourself. I don't, basic, so you understand what I'm saying? I don't cleanse myself and then read it for myself. No, I do this for clients, you know what I'm saying? And then I interpret it for them. And then when I want a limpia with con un huevo, with an egg, I would have another espiritista or another brujo cleanse it for me, cleanse it on top of me, and they would interpret it for me. So please, this is just the way, I'm just showing you the way I, read the egg. And so please, don't ask questions. Just watch the video and hopefully you enjoy it. I'm sorry, I'm trying. I don't want to sound rude, or I'm not trying. I don't know why I'm holding the egg up, but I'm not trying to be rude. And this is just basic brujeria, espiritismo etiquette. So also, you will notice that a brujo or a espiritista will cleanse themselves. They will protect themselves, especially when they're cleansing somebody else. They want to protect themselves. So usually they will use, I'm going to use 4711. So what I do when I'm going to cleanse any client is I add some 4711 and I just, cleanse myself, cleanse my aura, so that I make sure that I don't pick up any vibrations from, the client on myself. So then I just pretty much, cleanse myself and just, enforce a barrier of protection around myself, so that if I'm cleansing the person and then I'm going to interpret the egg, that the reading that I'm giving is for that person and it's not my energy. So what I'm doing is I'm cleansing myself and I'm placing a shield around myself so that the reading is entirely, and the cleansing, la limpia, is entirely for the client that I'm reading. Oftentimes you will see that an espiritista or a santiguador or whoever is cleansing with the egg, we also, not only do we pray over the egg or we bless the egg in front of the person, but we also grab the egg with both our hands and then we pray, over the egg. You don't have to. You can use any prayer that you choose, or you don't have to. I pray in Spanish. So usually I take the egg in both my hands and I recite a Spanish prayer. Usually it'd be like, or one, let me think. Okay. En el nombre del Padre, el Hijo y el Espíritu Santo, oh gran poder de Dios, en tu sagrado nombre, bendigo este huevo para que pueda santificar con tu sagrada misericordia. Con tu permiso, que sea este huevo consagrado para que me ayude en el santigo o curación de esta persona presente. Que se aleje toda la envidia, maleficio, demonio, espíritus de las tinieblas, bajo astrales, espíritus intranquilos y todas las intenciones malas que mis enemigos tengan sobre mí. Con el permiso y la bendición del gran poder de Dios, que este huevo bendiga la mente, su cabeza, su voz, su cuerpo, su espalda, sus hombros, sus brazos, sus manos, su torso, sus piernas, sus pies, su espíritu, su alma y su fe. En el nombre del Padre, del Hijo y del Espíritu Santo, este huevo es santificado. So we always have the client sitting down with their palms on their lap, and we ask them to breathe, and they have their eyes closed, and breathe through their nose and out their mouth, and breathe quietly and just relax and meditate. And then we take the egg and we start from right here, from above the eye in the forehead, and we just start doing circular motions around there. Now while we're doing this, we're also, the one who's doing the cleansing, we are also feeling to see if there's cool energy or hot energy. If there's hot energy, then you understand that these are areas that you need to work more on. So you're going to start, or the espiritista or santiguador, we always start right here, if you see in the forehead where the third eye would be, and you would just, do circular motions, and then you would go on top of the head. Now, some people don't like to be touched, so you can just go a little bit around 2 inches or so around above the head, and then you go all the way to the back of the head, down the nape, and while you're doing this, you have the person breathe comfortably, and then you go around the neck. Everyone does it differently. And you go to the throat and just pick up any, and just feel also with your hands to see if you feel any heat or coolness. And wherever you feel coolness or heat, that's where you need to rub the egg more. Now, generally, I'm just doing this to myself just for the video purpose, but I would have a client and I would just go down the arm, the hand like this, and again I would feel, then I would slowly have them turn the hand, and then I would go down, down the arm and around the palm, and I'm just cleansing, cleansing this area, and me feeling for any negative energies. And again, I would do the same to the other side of the arm, starting this way. Okay, this is just the way I do it. Everyone does it different. And then I would have them turn the hand and start on the palm. And I would feel for any hot energy that I may feel. You can touch the person. If the person's comfortable with you touching them with the egg, then that's fine. You would touch the person. If they're not comfortable, then you would have it like an inch or so around, and you would just close your eyes, both of you trying to breathe in tune, and you would feel for any energy. After you do that, you're going to go down the back, and you're going to do the same. And then you're going to come to the heart section. Okay? If it is a female and you're a male, please do not touch the woman's areas. So if it is a female, you would definitely keep the egg, at least 4 inches. Those areas you want to keep it 4 inches away from touching those sentimental, those private parts, all right? So, but if it's a man, you ask them, it's cool, and they're cool, then okay, then you can touch it. But if it's a female and you're a male, then you're going to keep it 4 inches away. Usually, female brujas, they don't care, they'll just touch you all over the place. But a man, we should, have a little bit more respect. So just keep the egg around 4 inches when it comes to those areas. And when we go down a little bit, we're going to get closer to the stomach. Then we're going to pass the egg through the back. Okay, and then we're going to go down both the legs, and you're going to do both the legs, the front of the legs and the back of the legs, and also you're going to lift carefully the legs of the person, and you're going to do the heel of the person. Okay, they can have shoes on, or if they have slippers, then you ask them quietly to slide their sandals off, and when they slide their sandals off, you just quietly, and just have them breathe. And this is not a time for conversating. You're going to tell the person, please, while I'm doing this limpia, I want you to breathe in and breathe out. No conversating during this. Just let me cleanse you. And like I said, so you start from here, from the third eye, and you go to the top, the crown right here. And then you're going to go to the back of the neck. Always try to feel these really, strong areas. Always, when you're going down and you're cleansing, feel the sensitive areas. So you would feel, I don't know what you call this in English, la muñecas, the wrists. Is that what it's called? The wrist. So pay more attention to the wrist, the palm. Pay attention to the eye, to the crown, to the back of the neck, to the wrist. Pay a lot of attention if you feel coolness or hot in the heart area, in the stomach area. And in the feet or in the ankles. Pay close attention if you feel cooler or hotter energy. If you feel hot energy, that means you need to keep working the egg around that area until it cools down. Now, after you pass the egg through the client, you're going to place the white plate. You're going to place the cup over the white plate. You can have a candle on the side if you want. You don't have to. And after you do that, you're going to take the egg, and now we're going to interpret it. So what you're going to do is you're going to carefully crack the egg into the glass. And then you're going to look. You don't want to fill the glass too much because it will run over, of course, because you're going to be adding more substance to it. So you just want to make sure that it's not completely full all the way. And what you're going to do is you're going to crack the egg into, or the espiritista, or the brujo, or the shaman, or the santiguador, they crack the egg into the glass, and then they begin to interpret la llama, or, the egg white. We use both the egg white and the yellow to interpret in the Latin cultures. So what we do is we crack the egg into the glass, and then we begin to interpret it. Now you see the water is a little warm. I like to use a little warm water, and I already cracked the egg in, okay? And you can see, and then what I do is I give it a little bit, and I start interpreting. See right there, there are signs. So you're starting to see images form. You don't want boiling water, but you want some warm water. So you can move the glass around, and then you can see symbols and images forming. I'm going to try to get it the best that I can. This is water from outside. Sorry about that. So what I start doing is I start moving the glass around in front of the client, and I begin to interpret it. See that? See all these? All these are meanings, and they are interpreted when we're reading el huevo, o la llama del huevo. Okay, so before I go any further, I just want to talk about a little bit about the symbolism of eggs. Eggs represent growth, protection, new beginnings, resurrection. Christians, or the ancient Christians, embraced the egg as a symbol likened to that of the tomb of Jesus Christ. Native American people were aware of the divine feminine, as well as the symbolic significance of the serpent power and the primordial egg. In ancient Egypt, India, and the Far East, the initial process of creation and birth begins when a cosmic egg was fertilized by a divine serpent entity or being, a divine being that took on the form of a serpent. In Voodoo, that being would be Dambala. To the Congo people in Africa, the Yoke stands for the female warmth, while the white symbolizes the male sperm. The egg is the symbol of luck, wealth, and health. And these are just some symbols. So I had the egg sitting here for a little bit, and I'm just going to show you how I would interpret it. And it actually looks pretty good. I'm going to take off the light just so you can see it a little bit better. Okay, so I'm not going to interpret the egg. I'm going to show you how an espiritista or a brujo generally interprets the eggs. I place it on a white plate, and I don't move the plate. What I do when I'm reading or analyzing the egg for the client is that I move the cup around to get a good reading, okay? So this is just the way that I do it. Each brujo or each espiritista does it differently. Okay, so the first thing you want to know is if the egg is floating or if it sank. If the egg is floating, well, first of all, the egg should sink directly to the bottom of the glass. That is a good omen, okay? That means that the reading, we can begin to read when the egg sinks to the bottom. If the egg floats, if the egg completely floats to the top, then another limpia must be done with another egg. This also can talk about an uncrossing ritual that needs to be done. The person needs another limpia. The person is not focused in their lives. They usually have their heads in the cloud. And this is also true if the egg breaks when you crack it into the cup, and half of it goes into the bottom and then half of it floats. This indicates that the person has a lack of focus in their personal life. Their mind is everywhere, it's scattered, or the person is not growing or developing in their life. And they have issues with moving on. They are torn apart. They might have learning problems, learning issues, and these things need to be rectified, or the espiritista or the brujo who's doing the limpia should tell the client this. But again, when the egg sinks, this is a good indication that the reading is ready to, you're ready to read. Webbings, you have to look for webbings as well. Okay, if the egg white forms a mesh or webbings, like a spider web pattern, like white spider web patterns, this indicates that something is entrapping, dominating, holding back, or impeding the person's personal or spiritual progress. It could also represent a controlling personality, or the person is being dominated, controlled, or being held back by another individual. The person feels trapped and does not know what to do or where to go with their problem, or in their life. Webs can also talk of your social network with your acquaintance or your associates, if you work, or the people that you live with or live around. Blood, okay, that's one thing that we need to look for when we're reading or analyzing the egg. We need to look for blood spots. Blood spots on the yolk are a sign of witchcraft, black magic, or a curse that has been carried out on the person with an intent of destruction, of total destruction on the individual who is getting read. Always let the person know that don't worry, that with more limpias, this can be removed. But this is also especially true if the water is cloudy. So if you see, a blood on the egg or blood spots on the egg, and the water is cloudy or murky, then there is foul play, black magic, or witchcraft. A complete bloody egg yolk means a curse, danger, or an omen of death. So you want to look at the egg yolk to see if the egg yolk is completely red, or it looks like blood. That is an omen of death or danger. One spot, like one blood spot, that indicates that the person has no motivation, suffers fatigue, has a lack of energy or enthusiasm, which results in failures within, everything in their life. When you see this is a good indication that the person needs a rompimiento or another cleansing with either fresh herbs or like an herbal bath. If the egg yolk is reddish and not yellow, not bloody, but more of a reddish tint, then the person has attracted a negative entity or an energy. We call that in Puerto Rican Espiritismo una causa. And this spirit has attached themselves to the person. A reddish egg yolk is an omen of a string of bad luck. It can also indicate depression caused by negative energies or outside influences. Now, when you're reading the egg yolk, you got to make sure that you know if it's a reddish tint or if it looks like blood. But in both instances and in both indications, it talks about an evil entity or an enemy or a bad karma that is surrounding the person. Also search for veins, like the red veins. Sometimes you will see red veins form, and the more there are, the more problems there are within the person. So if you see red veins, the more that there are, the more that the individual might have problems. But red veins indicate illnesses caused by stress. While red veins that form like a circle, so if you see red veins, sometimes you'll see them like straight lines, those indicate stress or illness, illnesses caused by stress, while red veins that cause circles talk about illnesses caused by maybe an addiction. Red veins that look like spiders, okay, talks about that the individual is under a psychic attack by an occult enemy. When you're analyzing your egg, search for black dots, okay? Black dots mean anger or frustration. The more black dots there are within the egg, the more anger the person is feeling, the more frustrated the person might be feeling. So you want to look for black dots within the egg. Black dots can also talk about negative vibrations or an illness caused by magic or one's very own bad choices. If the egg is dark and murky or frothy, it means that the person is suffering a susto. A susto is like a fright or un trauma, as how we call it in Puerto Rico. A trauma is a traumatic experience similar to soul loss, and further investigation as to the source should be investigated. When you see that, that could lead, when you see that could lead to depression and suicidal thoughts and tendencies. Now we're going to search for the cloudy water. Okay, the cloudier the water, the more stronger the reading and the omen. So if the water is cloudy, then this is an indication of unseen forces or enemies around the person. It can also indicate brujeria or witchcraft. And other signs within the yoke must be read to find the source. But there's always good news. Remember that when you're getting read by a brujo, that we are reading it, and if this omen does come up, then it is our job to remove that. Now, if the water is cloudy without any odor, sometimes there'll be odors, and I'll talk about that in a second. But if the water is cloudy without any odor or blood or any veins, this talks about a loss of energy, fatigue, an illness. The person feels fatigued, the person feels tired, weak, maybe there's an attack on the immune system, and depending on how cloudy the water is, it could also talk about some form of soul loss that the person is suffering. Also search for clouds around the yoke. This signifies inner peace, protection. See that right there? That would signify an inner peace, spiritual harmony, and protection. The person is protected by their own spirit guides. So you want to search for it. Let me show you again. That white that makes itself around the egg yolk. If the egg yolk is a reddish color or blood and it's got that white foam around it, then they have internal problems. They have inner demons that they have to face. Now, you always want to look for white clouds, but gray and gloomy clouds signify depression or anger, especially if the yolk is a reddish color and the clouds look gloomy or gray. This talks about depression. It talks about anger, or that the person is making bad decisions. They're clouded in their decision making. So always look for that. Also look for clouds that seem to be menacing or stormy looking. This indicates impending eruptions of emotion. The person is an emotional wreck at that moment in their life. It could also represent a lack of wisdom, or a confusion in a certain situation, or something that's happening in their life that's bringing up a lot of confusion. Next thing that you want to search for or smell is for aroma. I added the flashlight just so you can see a little bit different as you're analyzing this egg. If the water has a smell to it, this talks about illness. The stronger the smell, the stronger the illness that's inside the client. So that's something that you definitely want to, smell, to see if you smell any aromas within the egg. The strong aromas could also talk about witchcraft that is being carried out on the person to bring bad luck or failure. So when you smell a bad aroma, it could talk about an illness, but it could also talk about bad luck or witchcraft, or a negative spirit is around the person, usually sent by an occult enemy. Now, if the water is giving a really strong foul odor, such as sulfur or rotten eggs, then this situation is considered to be a very serious. It needs to be definitely investigated, because this talks about lower level entities around the person, or an occult enemy, and another limpia with another egg needs to be done. Also, when this happens and the aroma is very strong, then more spiritual and stronger spiritual work needs to be done around the person with other espiritistas present. Next thing you want to search for is balloons forming within the egg. There's one right there. See that? This would be considered, trying to get it so you can see it, balloons forming around the egg. This is called una bomba, or a balloon. When you see balloons, that represents the person feels trapped, or is not able to move forward. They feel trapped in a certain situation. The more balloons you see around the egg, then the more trapped that the individual feels within their life. Trying to find, there's that balloon right there. Okay, so the more balloons that you see, the more that the person feels trapped in any situation within their lives. You also want to check for crosses or X's or cages. Okay, they usually form X's or crosses. Okay, that's one thing that you definitely want to look for, which could talk about cross condition or bad situations, either brought in by witchcraft, gossip, slander, the evil eye, wrongdoings, or even that the person has made bad decisions within their own lives. This also can mean that the person feels trapped or caged and needs further cleansing. Also look for faces within the egg yolk, okay? In the egg yolk, look for faces, because this could also indicate the influence of anybody who may be influencing the person. A thin face, more like a phallic symbol, will indicate more of a male influence, while a thicker, elongated face would indicate more of a feminine energy. Letters, you could also look for letters within the egg. Letters can indicate either the first letter of the name of a person who is influencing the person, whether, depending on the reading. Numbers, you can also search for numbers. Numbers can indicate a period of time, such as like a week, or a month. Search also for symbols of like eyes. An eye can mean anything from you need to watch your life. You need to pay attention. You need to focus in your life. It could also talk about the evil eye, depending on, of course, the egg yolk and other symbols around it. And it could also be talking about someone that's watching you, someone that has their eye on you. Search for bubbles, air bubbles around the rim of the glass. When you see the air bubbles or air bubbles around the rim or anywhere within the glass, this is a good indication that any negative energy was absorbed either by a guardian angel or an ancestral spirit or a guardian spirit. If there are bubbles on top, it would be more of like a guardian angel that's absorbing you, especially if it's a circle of air. But this indicates that a guardian angel is protecting you, it's watching you, while bubbles in the bottom would indicate more of like an ancestral spirit or a spirit guide that is watching you. So a spirit guide and ancestrals bubbles around here, that would represent that, while a guardian angel or a highly elevated saint is watching you, and they're protecting you, they're watching you, especially if it makes a ring around the rim, but any bubbles within the glass indicates that the spirit guides are watching you and they're protecting you. Also, you want to make sure, I've talked about the clouds, but look for how clear the water is. Okay, this is the best omen ever. Okay, you always want the egg to fall and you want it to be as clear as possible. If the water is clear without abnormal shapes, scents, there's no blood, then this is a sign that nothing unnatural is happening within the person. Also look for various egg yolks. 2 egg yolks can mean that the person is fertile. They could be talking about a pregnancy, or it could even be talking about twins within the person. But usually 2 egg yolks represents fertility. It represents a pregnancy, and like I said, maybe even twins. So search for strings. See right there, that is a string. String could indicate an energy that was pulled away from the person or the aura, or where the individual is having the problem, within the aura. The first time that you crack the egg, okay, you're going to look at the left hand as being the head, and then the right part as being the feet, okay? Or if it's facing the client, then of course the head, and then the feet is facing towards you. So this is where an energy needs to be cleansed or purified. So always look for lines such as this. Let me move it so you can see it a little bit better. So that could also represent a certain area in the body where the person is feeling weak or energy is flowing from the person. So it can indicate, depending on where it is, but it can indicate where energy is seeping away from the client or the person. So you definitely want to read for that. But it's not always a bad omen. The more there are, the more the person needs cleansings. But if you see little pearls on top of these little lines, and you see like a little pearl, let me see if I find one for you. Okay, it would be like something like that. I'm trying so you can see it. That is known as what we call una perla, or a pearl. Those pearls represent a good omen, protection from a spirit guide. A spirit guide is watching you. So pay attention for when you see these strings and you see little pearls on them. They could be indicating that a spirit guide is watching over you. It's protecting you. It's helping you in a certain situation within your life at that moment. Also search for anchors, okay? Anchors can indicate hope. It could indicate that these figures also mean that the loved one will join within a link with another person in a significant way. It could be a marriage, a new relationship, a new partnership. So search for anchors within the water, okay? That again talks about that the person is going to settle down, is going to marry. There's a new relationship, a new love life that the person is heading to, or depending if the color of the egg or the odor, if the person is happy or unhappy. If it's yellow, it's good. If it's red, it's not so good. Arches. Look for arches, because arches represent differences within a workplace with co-workers. Arches could talk about a discord, walking away, moving away. You want to leave. It talks about a discord, conflicts with a couple, conflicts or problems within the family, and so on. An arch would be like a bridge. It's like you just want to move away. You want to like walk away from a certain situation within your life. It depends on, of course, other symbols within the water. Look for either a boat or what seems to be like a boat not that it's going to appear, but look for a boat or a plane or a car or even maybe a bicycle. This announces a trip. Now, again, depending on the color of the egg yolk, is the trip going to be good? If the egg yolk has it's red or has blood, then the trip is not going to be good. But if the egg yolk is yellow, then the trip is going to be fine. So boats, cars, talks about a trip that the person is going to undertake. It also means a promotion within the work or prosperity within the work. But if you see that the egg yolk is reddish in color and the cloud around it is gray or murky, then the person is not happy in their work, they're not happy within their job, or they might lose a promotion. Okay, horseshoes, look for horseshoes. We all know that horseshoes are a sign of good luck, especially within finances. Search for stars. A four-pointed star warns of conflicts, okay? Especially with loved ones, while a five-pointed star, it talks about a new event within a life, okay? It marks a new stage. A five-pointed star would talk about a new stage within your life. And remember that a four-pointed star would talk about more of conflicts within the person's life. Search also for images of snakes or symbols of snakes within the water. Poorly defined snakes would talk about problems with intimacy, sexual problems. So if a snake is thin and broken, then that would definitely talk about, if it's poorly defined, it talks about problems in their intimacy, while a stronger snake would talk about more of a sexual vigor. The person's in the peak of their passion, in the peak of their sexual passion. A three-leaf clover or a three-pointed star talks about happiness, harmony, prosperity, hope, and luck. It could talk about luck within work, a new project, and new things within the person's life. After you finish analyzing and doing the egg reading for the client, the egg is always flushed. Well, we flush it down the toilet. Latinos, we just flush it down the toilet. We cross it over the person to remove any negative more vibrations. So we cross the glass around the person. Sorry about that. We cross the glass around the person just to absorb any more negative vibrations. And this is never saved. It is flushed down the toilet. Closing this video because it's getting a little too long, and this is just a basic gist of using eggs, but I just want to close it with 3 more suggestions. Whenever you're cleansing a person with an egg, and sometimes the egg will just break, just combust in a certain area, this is indication that there's some work that needs to be done in that area. Or it could also indicate that there's a negative energy around that area, so more work needs to be done on that. Another thing, that when you're cleansing an egg, sometimes the egg will fly off your hand and will crack and break on the floor. One, that could indicate that you're a klutz, okay, a moron, or it could indicate that there is a trickster spirit, un burlón, a mocking spirit. Not always, but some people use it to symbolize that. So when that happens, further cleansing needs to be done on the person, on the individual, with the help of other mediums, other media unidades. And sometimes another egg is picked up, and hopefully it doesn't fall. If it falls a second time, then definitely that's a sign that a spiritual gathering should be done, a seance, a velada, a misa espiritual, in order to find out what is this mocking spirit, who is this mocking spirit, and why has that spirit attracted themselves to them, to that individual. So remember, if an egg breaks in a certain area, then you know that that's a certain area that you need to work on the client. While if the egg falls, okay, it could be that you just accidentally dropped it, or that there could be a mocking spirit. Another thing is some interpreters, some readers leave the egg for 12 to 24 hours. Each person is different. I leave it for 30 minutes while the person's here. We usually have a cup of coffee, cup of tea, or whatever it may be. And then when I come back, I interpret it. After I am finished with that, I flush it down the toilet. I get rid of it, okay? So anyways, that is just a basic, just to how to learn how I read how I do limpias with the eggs and how I read con el huevo with the egg. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any suggestions for future videos, please leave a comment down below right there. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Please hit that like button. Please leave comments of future videos that you would like to see. This is Sancista Brujo Luis. I hope you enjoy my channel. We're entering November. I got more videos planned. Thank you very much to all my followers. This is Sancista Brujo Luis. I'm going to end it because this is getting too long. Santo Sanse. Con mucho, mucho amor, Santo Sanse.